All right, good morning and welcome. I know you still feel like freshmen, but you're not. You are sophomores. Some of you may feel like freshmen and feel a little bit lost and everything, like this is your first time in the building, but we just wanted to go over a couple things with you. You had a very brief orientation last year. Some of you weren't in school at all. We were out for a total of 548 days, which is a long time. I know everybody was affected by the pandemic, so we just wanted to give you an opportunity to experience a little bit of what you should have experienced. Mrs. Martin has some great news for you at the end of this and some gifts. Couple things that I want to say. Last year, you were told this is where your GPA matters, your grade point average. Your cue from now on, at all times, from grades 9 through 12, is what's going to decide what places you can go to college or what you're going to do with your life. So please, be sure to come to school on time. Be sure to get to your first period on time. There is free breakfast in the morning. Every single morning, it's free. Just go right down and eat, okay? There is free lunch for every student in the entire school. You don't have to do anything. You just go down and eat breakfast, or you go down and eat lunch. It's free for the whole state for the entire year, okay? So take advantage of that, please. Exit and enter through hallways according to your first and last period class. So if you, like I said, if you have your first period at E-Wing, you get your temp scan there. If you have your last period in D-Wing, that's where you'll leave to go out the door. You don't need to temp scans on the way out, okay? Because you're leaving. I don't care, I'm just kidding. All right, hoods down at all times. We are revisiting our dress code in October, so please don't ruin it for everyone. Wear your phys ed uniform to school in school colors, all right? Keep your hoods down and make sure you wear your phys ed uniform. Chromebooks, if you have not done so, during your lunch period, IXL period, or student prep period, you can go down to the main office and hand in your paper and your unreturned device. If you already returned a device, just go down to the main office and hand in your form. You cannot function here without a Chromebook. There's no way, and you cannot use your own device. You must use ours because it is our network and we can't corrupt our network. All right, we'll expose ourselves to cyber attacks. All right, and we may lose our data. Ms. Sykes is not here for the HIB policy, so we will go over that in a minute. I'd like to introduce at this time and welcome you to Lindenwold High School for those of you who are first coming in and to their first full year back. I'd like to introduce you to our assistant principal, Mrs. Melanie Martin. Give her a big hand.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome, welcome, welcome. I just wanted to share a few things with you this morning. Just a couple of things with the rules, and then we'll talk about the activities that we have here. For one thing, with the electronic devices, just be reminded that when you are passing in the hallway, you can have one earbud in your ear as you're going from one classroom to the next. And then once you're in your classroom, if your teacher allows you to, you can use your electronic device at that time, only if it's for an assignment and your teacher is allowing you to. But really, you won't need to use your own device because you should be using your Chromebook. We have a software program called Go Guardian, and basically that's like Big Brother, where that is what we are able to see everything that you are doing and receive notifications if you're doing something that's inappropriate on the school-issued Chromebook. So it's just very important that I know that you want to do the right thing, so you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing, doing your work, and just keeping it wholesome and clean and classy, Lindenwold, as you're on the Chromebooks. Student prep, the cafeteria, and IXL. Those are all assigned places that you are supposed to be. You do not have the option to not attend those classes. If you don't want to be in a you may say, oh, I don't want to be in the cafeteria. That's not an option. If you're assigned, if that's your lunch period, that's where you need to be. IXL is a class that you're supposed to be in, and if you're supposed to be in student prep, then that's where you're supposed to be. That's not your time to go wandering around the building. You must have a pass to be in the hallway at all times. So our student agendas are on back order. They will be coming, and that's usually how you get your passes, but in the meantime, you will be issued just a single paper pass if you need to go somewhere in the building. Several of you have asked about community service hours. That for right now is on pause. We will find out in October if you are going to have to earn community service hours this year. Respect. It's very important that when you're in the hallway, that you are walking from one class to the next class. I see some of you are running around and playing around and doing all kinds of things that you shouldn't do in between classes. So you need to make sure that you are walking from one class to another. You do not have time to walk a friend to class. You need to get yourself to class, and that's all that you need to be concerned about so that you can be on time. Okay, so let's talk about some of the activities that we have here. We want to make this a positive experience. Your goal here obviously is to graduate, and at this point, within the next 3 years. And it's just some of the experiences, some of the fun experiences that you can have in a classroom. The most important thing that you need to do, in addition to focusing in on your classes, your studies, is also that you get involved in the different activities and sports that are here at Lindenwold High School. It will be a much better experience. We have music, we have drama, obviously, the good kind. There's so much more to theater than just being on the stage. You had the people that put together the stage, the props. You have hair and makeup. There's the sound and audio. There's so many different things that you can do, even if you're not interested in being on the stage. Again, we're going to revisit community service later. Okay, and so again, sports. We have our football, we have soccer, there's several sports that are going on. We have field hockey, and Mr. DiMattia is going to talk to you about that in a minute. This is a list of the different clubs that we have. It's very important that you listen to the announcements in the morning, and then soon we're going to have like a morning TV show that comes on that talks about our news, what's going on in the building. They even do the weather. And when you hear that there's going to be a meeting or different activities, you need to come out and find out what the different clubs are doing. That way you can figure out what it is that you want to do. Okay, so without further ado, we have Mr. DiMattia, our assistant principal, our other assistant principal.
Yeah, get you laughing at my picture. I don't take good pictures, y'all. You know that. At least it's not from the top up, so could be worse, right? So look, first off, welcome back to school. I've got to talk to a lot of you, see a lot of you, because we know that last year and even the time before it has really kind of put a wrinkle in everybody's lives. Look, it is so important that you understand just how important school is. Whether or not we're talking college, anything, that a basic education is going to matter so much more for your generation, because it's hard for you at your age to realize the economic impact that is going on in the world right now. Trust me, the majority of these teachers walking around here don't understand it because they don't live in like a financial economic world. An average regular person doesn't realize that. So what I want you to understand is it's all about giving you options in life. The better you do in school, the more options you have in life, right? Because right now you're feeding your brain, right? Imagine if you didn't eat for an entire year, how would you feel? Exactly, you'd feel dead. Now this is what I want you to realize. Imagine if you didn't do schoolwork for an entire year because we were remote. Your brain is inherently dead for that year. Like, you need to understand that. Like, and that's real talk. Like, it is important that you start off on the right foot, so please get involved, and this is the reason why, okay? Although I'm an assistant principal assisting M through Z, okay, I know like 90-something% of you pretty well, okay? So you can please come up to me at any time, and I will try to help you to the best of my abilities. But please, get involved in a sport, get involved in a club, get involved in an activity, get involved in theater, play, student government, something. Because this is the reason why. If you try to go through and do high school on your own, it can be done. It is hard. None of us would be where we are today without a support system around us, whether it was our friends, our family, our teachers, our coaches, our mentors. The more people you have helping you, the easier it is for you to accomplish your dreams and goals. These people will help you inside this building. There is no one coming to work saying, whose life do I want to ruin today? Or whose life can I hurt today? The reason why people come here is to help each one of you. So the more people you have around you, the more likelihood of your chances to accomplish your dreams and goals. So when you're laying in bed thinking about what your future is going to be, like most people do at your age, the best thing you can do is have people around you to help. So some of you have already signed up for sports. Keep in mind, we offer an array of sports at Lindenwold High School. In the fall, we have football, cheerleading, field hockey, boys and girls cross country, and boys and girls soccer and girls tennis. In the winter, we have boys and girls basketball, boys and girls bowling, and also wrestling. And then also in the spring, we have boys and girls track and field. And then we also have baseball, softball, and boys tennis. Keep in mind, to be eligible for a sport, you need to maintain 30 credits. So after the first and second marking period, if you are not passing 6 classes that are 5-credit classes, you are not eligible for a spring sport. So it's extremely important you start off on the right foot because every grade matters in high school. Because it's 45-minute classes, you don't get as many assignments as you do in middle school. So on average, each assignment is roughly about 3 points across the board in high school. So if you get 3 zeros, you are already down to a 91. That's minimum. It could be a lot higher if one of those is a project, a test, or a quiz. Okay? With that being said, you're very fortunate to have Mrs. Nicholas, I almost called you that's the wrong name. Oh, sorry. And Miss Underwood, who's going to go later. But please keep in mind, you have great advisors. I would take advantage of them because if you do your part, you could probably have the best class going because they will go above and beyond for you. Ms. Sykes, Director of Guidance, or Student Personnel.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so happy to have you all in person this year. I'm so happy to get to know this class. As sophomores, you guys, actually, in a way, you were lucky to not, to have a freshman year. Virtual is not pleasant, but to start here as sophomores is such a benefit. I'm just really happy that you're here. Just a couple things. The first thing is that we have, unfortunately, here's the bad news. We have a lot of testing coming up this fall. As you all know, we haven't had state testing in the past 2 years. But in order to make up for that and in order for us as your teachers and for the state to understand where we are after the past 2 years of crazy, we are going to have some short assessments in the fall called Start Strong assessments. You will be taking them in your English class, whether it's English 9 or English 10, because some of you might still be in English 9. In your math class, whether it's Algebra 1 or Geometry, you'll be taking it within that class. And they're going to be about an hour long just to see where you are, just to see what we have to make up, just to get us back on track so you can graduate in a couple of years, because that's the goal. So that will take place the first week in October. The second week in October, we have a couple days off, and when the day we get back, that Wednesday, we have the PSAT. The PSAT is a practice SAT. As many of you know, the SAT is a test that many of you will take to go to, as an entrance test to go to college, and we want to make sure that the first time you sit down to take that test isn't the one where the actual SAT. We want to give you a practice version. You are not used to, many of you have never taken a paper standardized test. The PSAT is going to give you experience taking a standardized test on paper. It's also going to give you an idea of what the SAT looks like when you take that at the end of your junior and then perhaps the beginning of your senior year as you start applying for colleges. The other thing is that the state actually uses the your PSAT score as an indicator for graduation. If you do what the state has many different test requirements for you to get your diploma, and you can meet that requirement by doing well on the PSAT. So it's just another avenue for you to meet that high school testing graduation requirement. So that will be on October 13th, which is the Wednesday after your 2 days off for Columbus Day. So you'll be getting more information about that coming soon. The next thing I want to talk about is harassment, intimidation, and bullying. Now, we didn't have any, as they're called, we call them HIBs. You may have heard that term. Your class did not have any HIBs last year. We were all home for the most part. The year before that, though, for those of you who went to the middle school, y'all had a lot. Okay? Your class, when you were in 8th grade, back at the middle school, had 56 incidents reported to the state of harassment, intimidation, and bullying. Our entire high school had 6. I like that number better. That's 4 grades. Your grade versus 4 grades, okay? I like that number a lot better. Why does the number go down? Well, for some reason, maturity has a lot to do with it. As you mature, you realize that it's not worth making other people's day miserable just because you're miserable. You realize that if you don't like somebody, you just leave them alone. You don't go out of your way to make their day harder just because your day is going hard. The other thing is that this whole year, we really need to take care of each other. If anything, we should make each other's lives easier. We're all going through it. On top of the pandemic, we all have our own personal stuff going on. Whether we're new to this country, okay? Whether we are growing up in my case, a single parent house with my mom had 2 kids and money was tight and it was just rough. We're all dealing with that because we're working, trying to help and all of that. Whether it's, just intergenerational trauma. We're all going through it. And we all just really need to take care of each other and make each other's lives easier. Sometimes there's people we don't get along with. Just leave them alone. If there's somebody that you don't get along with, just leave them alone. What happens is when we are carrying our own stuff, what we usually do is we find someone who we perceive to be weaker than us and we pick on them. Don't do that. That's so lame. It's weak and it makes you look like a punk. Picking on someone weaker than you, you're the punk. Instead, make their life easier. Help make them stronger instead of making them weaker and putting them down because you feel down. So, with that said, if that's happening to you and you feel that you're being victimized, if someone is bothering you for no good reason, come and let us know. Because what happens is we deal with it, and the superintendent also deals with it, and we also report it to the state and the Board of Ed. So all those people know about the person who's giving you a hard time. If you're the person giving people a hard time, perhaps in middle school you were on a HIB. That means that I know about it, your principal knows about it, the superintendent knows about it, the Board of Ed knows about it, and the state knows about it. And you don't want that record, carrying with you throughout your high school education, and possibly in some cases applying to college, they ask for that information and you don't want that on there either. So it's another good reason, a selfish reason, to not bother people. But if it's happening to you, let us know and we will deal with it because we like to keep our numbers low. Because the low number helps us know that that's not happening. But if you see it happening to someone else, even more importantly, if you see it happening to someone else, if someone else is being bullied and picked on there is no ever a good reason, let us know. We'll deal with it. Okay? Again, Most of the times when people are picking on weaker people, it's because they don't feel good themselves. So if you feel the impulse to do that, check yourself. Check yourself and say, what's going on with me that I feel like I need to pick on this person who did nothing to me? Check in on yourself and say, maybe I need to deal with my own stuff if I have a compulsion to pick on somebody else or to make someone else's life harder. Okay? But again, if it's happening to you or you see it happening to somebody else, you see me, you can tell your teacher, any teacher, you can tell me, you can tell your counselor. We will keep it confidential. We will keep you confidential. Unfortunately, the information about whoever's doing it to you goes all the way to the top. So enough of that. I'm now going to pass it on to a much more pleasant conversation. Here is Mrs. Underwood and Mrs. Nicholas, your class advisors.
I was just thinking that, Miss Sykes. I was like, oh, unpleasant topics she has. We have the fun stuff. Okay, so as she just said, we are your class advisors. We were your class advisors last year, but unfortunately, we couldn't do much, obviously, for obvious reasons. So this year, we hope, and the next 2 years after that, we hope to make it a lot of fun for you. So the way that we communicate anything with your class of 2024 is through Google Classroom. If you're not on the Google Classroom, there is a code. I was going to actually put it on here, like on a little sign or something, but just email, catch me in the hallway, catch me in D102, and we can get you hooked up on that. It's very important so that you can follow all the communications for the class. Speaking of which, the first thing that we posted on there was student government. We need help. We can't do this alone, so we need 5 positions filled. We already have a few people who've reached out. Some people wrote speeches already. So if you're interested and you're like panicking about making a speech, getting up here like this because it's nerve-wracking for everyone, don't worry about it. Just come to us because we really need to fill positions. So, and they're due tomorrow, and we only have, I think, 3 or 4 out of the 5. So you technically wouldn't even have any competition. It's like a win-win. So that's not to say we don't want a lot of people to come out. It's fun to have a little competition. You're going to be voting next Friday, the 20th. It'll be through a Google form. So if you're interested in that, please see us. Email, stop by D102. Okay? Let me make sure what I'm doing. Okay. I would be. Oh, and the positions are president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, and ambassador. The ambassador position, you might not have heard of before, but that's going to be one that you really have to communicate well because you're going to be attending the student government, the higher student government meetings, and then kind of bringing information back to Ms. Underwood and myself and the class. So that's the ambassador position. And we'll help you out with all of these positions so you don't have to panic about that. I would be remiss if I didn't mention something about language arts. Summer reading, the extension is till the end of the month. I've been telling all of my classes. I don't have all of you. So make sure you check that out. It's on the website. I'll put it on, I don't know if I put it on the 2024 site, so I'll put that on. It's not a difficult thing, especially if you've already read a book. And then you get to participate in an event in October that is yet to be the date established. You're gonna have like food, fun, games outside, and I would rather be outside than inside, and I'm sure you would too. And I think I can pass it on. Oh, bonfire. Speaking of fun things, next Friday is the football game, home game, and afterwards we're gonna have a bonfire. This is why we need student government especially, because we're gonna be doing fundraising already, raising money for our class, and that's when I'm gonna pass it to Miss Underwood.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. The first thing what Ms. Nicholas said in our Google Classroom, we will be posting a Google form for you to complete to share your ideas for fundraising, rewards, things that you want to earn. Okay, this is your fun time, so we want your ideas, okay? And if we can do it, it'll happen. Some activities that many of the teachers have met and started planning until we get with you guys. One is the homecoming is scheduled in late October. Right now it's scheduled for October 29th. One of our jobs as sophomore advisors and students is to plan a dance. Right now it's scheduled for winter. Hopefully we'll be able to make that happen. Snack sales after school. We will have a designated time when our class will be asked to sell snacks. So if you're a walker, possibly, and you might be one that might want to, volunteer to do that. Let's see. Oh, and our class color is gray. So those of you who came for freshman orientation last year, when we came in for hybrid, you received one, and if not, you'll be receiving one today. But this is what it looks like, and it has class of 24. So when we have class events or competitions, and they go by class colors, we want you to wear this shirt, okay? We need to win. We're very competitive. We're competitive, so we need to win. So if you go to the bonfire on Friday night, put the gray shirt on, because then we can see how many of you guys are here. All right, we'll start it off good. All right, and again, as everyone has said already a million times, get involved and have fun. That's it.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is, as Mrs. Underwood just said, we're going to give you your gray class shirts. Your color, your sophomore class color your class color is gray. Okay, so as she was saying, when we have different competitions, you'll be wearing, you need to wear your gray shirt or, gray, something.